Miss Being Fam, Angel's Corner, and Chatavir. When they're in here, it looks like America has spoken. The map is almost red, but yeah, it looks like the former President Trump will be president. He only need 3 more. I guess that's the popular vote, electoral votes. This electoral votes, but that's how it's coming about. Let's see. I did have a video. Y'all hold on for a minute. Let me find the video. They got commercials running. But it's early. It's about 4 something. I had to use the bathroom and excuse me for TMI. But I looked up there. I said, okay, then. I looked and saw that. But yeah, it's a commercial coming on that. So it's the news. Here we go.
Welcome back. As a result of Roe v. Wade being overturned, abortion rights initiatives, as you know, made their way onto the ballot in 10 states on this election night. For a check on the results, we're going to go over to Ryan Nobles. He's at the data wall for us. Ryan?
Yeah, Kate, I think we're going to talk about this for quite a while after this election, about how abortion played a role in this particular vote, because there were a number of motivating factors people to the polls as it relates to abortion, because there were.
But I just want to let y'all know to see the results, and it'll show you the state results. Go to North Carolina. That's South Carolina. Go to North Carolina, and it'll tell you each result of the ballot. The ballots, what's going on, everything. Projected winner, all the different governors and different things like that. Good morning. You're from India? Yeah. Thank you for coming in. I'm not going to stay up here long, but I just wanted to just show what was going on. It looks like you shocked. Not really. Good morning, Daniel Berry. I know y'all probably know this, but I just want to do a little video before too many people get out there.
Measures on
just give my little 2 cents.
The way they decided to work this out is whichever one of these measures got the biggest raw vote total, that's what was going to be put into practice. And in this case,
that's in Nebraska.
The second one, their second option here, and basically this put into the situation I'm sorry, it's actually this one. I'm looking at the things wrong. So it actually prohibits abortion after the first trimester, which is a.
So are you shocked? Yeah. Daniel Berry. 7 people are here. Y'all up early. How y'all got up early this morning? Yeah, I just had to use the bathroom. Excuse me. I had to use the bathroom and everything. So I got up and I looked and I was like, okay, the whole map is red. Just about. In some areas. I know North Carolina, it was red. Nebraska, I believe. But yep. Daniel Berry, what you thinking? What you thinking about this Senate controlled GOP? California. Well, let's see what they're talking about now.
In terms of that particular issue being a galvanizing issue for Democrats.
One thing is how Ryan laid it out, that if people are faced with a decision that is discreetly about abortion, and they have an opportunity to evaluate that and change the law in their state, they were motivated to do that. They weren't willing to confer that to leadership at a national level for Kamala Harris. Part of me wonders if so much of this is still baked in, the newness of her candidacy, how she was not as well known broadly. And to some degree, it is a mystery at this early hour because it was so dominant among so many of the voices.
Yep, so that was that. But yep, that's what I wanted to show y'all, that America will never die. This is a new normal. 26, 23. I think it's 26, 23. Well, he had a lot of people voting for him. I guess a lot of people that said they weren't going to vote that way voted that way. And the whole map was almost red. We did it, America. I think a lot of the issue was the border. I think a lot of the issue, was that. Yep. Trump 2024, 2028. So they talking about that now. Was anybody surprised up here? This is the new normal. So putting the needs of other countries before our own citizens was the biggest issue for most. Yeah, I think so too. I think it was like the border. The border, yeah. Was. Let me see what they're talking about.
Distanced himself from a lot of that. And then, of course, at one point a few weeks ago,
I think that's the key.
Declaring himself the father of IVF.
No, I think him muddying his message gave the permission slip to somebody who was inclined to support Trump, but also is in favor of abortion rights. I mean, look, you can't win Florida by the margin he did. 57% supported this amendment.
Right.
It came up short because of the 60% threshold, but 57%. So that's quite a few Trump voters also voting.
And when we talk about the influence that Donald Trump's going to have on this new government when he takes the presidency, you have to wonder, there are going to be a group of Republicans in the Senate, Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, who are going to want to push for a national abortion ban. Can Donald Trump prevent them from introducing that? Because I think that's going to be one of the big...
He has never said, has he, Brian? President Trump has never said...
Brian, what's the line?
He would veto.
But what's the number? 15 weeks. Is it 15 weeks?
Right.
Because if it's 15 weeks, is that going to be considered a ban? Or is that going to be considered to Floridians and Texans who are dealing with 6-week bans and Iowans an improvement?
Right.
Just
and
something to think
that
about.
was the question Hallie Jackson asked Kamala Harris, if you remember.
She wouldn't touch it.
And she would not touch it because the Overton window, the Overton window on abortion has changed. That's the reality. That's one of the things we have to remember here. This isn't about a ban. It's about where it stops and ends.
Clearly, we have a lot more to discuss. We have a lot more.
Well, they're going to be on all day, but I just want to break in on Live 9 News at 9 with Miss B and Fam. Angel's Corner, Chacha Veer. Thank y'all for coming in. I appreciate y'all. And it looks like America has spoken. All right. Y'all have a blessed day. We'll see y'all in probably, 3 hours, Lord willing. All right. Y'all have a blessed day. Thank you all for coming in. I don't want to mess up y'all names. The first person that came in. And then I think... I don't want to mess it up. I'm sorry. Daniel Berry, thank y'all. Thank you, Trail. And 2623. OG Brand. Hey, OG Brand. What you doing up so early? I know you get up early. But yeah, I was just saying America has spoken and it was read. I know a lot of the mail. Yeah. I think the vote was changed. Yeah, would you put your link up there? Okay. But OG Brand, what you thinking? I think that America has spoken. It was some reasons. Some reasonings they had, like Trump, no war. Yeah. Miss B, why are you not sleeping? Well, I got up. I know this is TMI. I got up and had to use the bathroom. So and I turned it on and was looking at this and I said, oh, Okay, then. Okay, so it was red all over the map. So I was like, okay, America has spoken. Let's see what this said. Somebody here, potentially. Okay. Somebody hit it.
Of symbolisms there. I think there were a lot. But here you have it created. It was a real knockdown, drag-out fight inside the Democratic Party between sort of the traditional liberal wing of the party and this governor from Arkansas who is leading the moderates, called the DLC at the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think we're going to see
something. I think that was a lot of it. The food started getting too high. Let me cut this down. The food started getting high, and these clowns can't accept the food. Food, and then the border. That was a lot of it. America, they saw we wouldn't accept 2020. Now they won't accept 2024. Race isn't even close. Harris got it. Well, like that's what we're saying, that OG brand feel like it was. I think it was because of the border. Because of the food had gotten high, everything. We all deserve a check. OG brand. Don't start this morning. We all deserve a check. Yeah. All deserve. Okay, he's over 270. It's over 270 now. Thank you. He already declared victory. Well, you know, because it was showing 266, so it was kind of, it's about over with, yeah. So let me see what they say. Okay, wait.
And your future, every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have.
Mr. Trump has declared victory. The NBC decision desk has not yet called the presidency for Mr. Trump. But
honey, I got a job.
Kamala Harris,
I got a business,
actually. To 270 electoral college votes. In fact, let's take a look at where things stand right now. We'll start in those battleground states that we have.
I got two businesses, a job and Miss B serious, and they owe me on my child support. But only Christ is in control. My time is coming. Oh yeah. Yeah. Over here, we go to work over here. I don't know.
North Carolina, Donald Trump also the projected winner there in North Carolina. From North Carolina,
North Carolina.
Michigan.
What? How about Texas?
Still too close to
Michigan. It was red.
102,000 votes. We are still.
Call and say
those votes in Wayne County. If you're counting votes in Wayne County,
Wisconsin,
too close to call in Wisconsin. President Trump, as you can see, there with a slight edge over Vice President Harris from Wisconsin. We go out west to Nevada. Didn't expect to be able to call Nevada at this point anyway. Too close to call there. Difference of about 57,000 votes. And in Arizona, it is still too early to call, but as you can see, former President Trump still poised there in Arizona to perhaps pick up the 11 elections there. There's the map, Kate.
Road to 270.
A lot of red on that map. And we'll go to Chuck to explain that there are really no paths here for Vice President Harris anymore. But before we do that, can I just pull up the Senate balance of power to remind folks, or someone's just tuning in, Republicans have taken control of the upper chamber, the Senate, with a 51-seat majority to 41 for Democrats. Outstanding races still yet to come. And then in the House, we're still waiting for 62 races, and it may take days
my neighbor
for some of these to be called. But at this moment, Republicans have a net gain of 3. Remember, Republicans have been controlling the House, so it's a question of whether they keep that control or Democrats take over control.
to you.
Last I saw it was 278. It's over.
And again, the big story
278.
right now,
Okay.
after 5 a.m. on the
They
East
only
Coast,
showing
Donald
this,
Trump's,
so
perhaps improbable.
what did they say? It was
Certainly
266, but you know.
Comeback. Also joined
Trump
by
has
Kelly
been
O'Donnell, joined
treated
by
like a
Ryan
black
Nobles as
man,
well.
by
Chuck
the
Todd
justice
over at his
system and
trusty
constantly
big
being
board.
attacked.
Chuck, what are you looking at here at 5 a.m.?
Well, we got 7 uncalled states here: Maine and
No,
New Hampshire. Kamala Harris, both of those. Then you have Michigan,
no
Wisconsin,
deported me.
Arizona, Nevada, Alaska. Donald Trump is leading in all of those. He really just needs one of the 4 of the.
So they must be late then, because it said
the one
266.
congressional district in Maine. Maine is the other state that splits.
266 and 19.
I will tell you,
19.
the state that we expect to see something pretty soon is in here. We've been waiting for some vote in Milwaukee. We're still waiting for it, but it's our understanding that it is being.
They're very late. Yeah, it sure look like it.
Enough vote in Milwaukee
the fed up people have spoken. That's why I said America has spoken.
In order to catch Donald Trump, can she find
It is like it is.
111,000 votes?
It's be well. My landlord sold his property, but I still pay same rent.
Votes remaining if
Christ, I'm
numbers are
still
accurate.
blessed.
Again,
Yeah,
this is a
still blessed.
stronghold of hers, Milwaukee County. So we will wait and see what those numbers.
It's a wrap.
You know, I hate to say
we are truly blessed
because there's you never know when it comes to counting votes and this, but this one it is hard to see. It would take a counting miracle for Kamala Harris to catch Donald Trump here. And it's just they won't show that here in Wisconsin, and that's probably the state of the 7 that is the most.
I say America has spoken. It's
moving off our board.
And do you see
what it is.
Mr.
Now
Trump
we just
exceeding his 2016
too close.
304?
Oh, he's going to exceed his 2016. I mean, he is well on his way to winning the popular vote, and there's a reason for this. I mean,
I thought he had already won the popular vote.
But his improvement all over the
God
country.
bless you.
Let me just take you to New Jersey.
President.
Harris is only going to win New Jersey by 5 points. Just to remind you, Joe Biden won it by 16 points. I already showed you Illinois,
Virginia,
an early hour. In all of these blue states, what I would call blue states that, when I first started this, were actually swing states. Believe it or not, my first election, New Jersey, Illinois, those were swing states.
Even though the devil is busy, but I keep my faith in Christ no matter what I do. That's right. You have to.
Like blue tonight. And you
have to keep your trust in God. No matter who's going to be in there, we got to trust God. These journalists need a hope.
But mostly younger men. This was not the dominant demographic that Democrats were counting on. Young voters arguably powered Democrats in the last 4 presidential elections. Not this time.
Yeah, if this was a battle of the sexes, it would seem as if men won tonight.
Well, in terms of their vote.
Yeah.
Can I change the
I think a lot of male men voting.
On the question of what changes, we talked about what policies will change.
They also said it was young.
What changes culturally
like college
in this country
kids voted
with an election? Again, we haven't
and they made
yet,
a difference.
If President Trump becomes the next
don't
president
become
again,
white and a pillow of salt without faith. That's right.
Because you think about the way he ran this campaign, a lot of ads on transgender issues.
They're going to ride.
And he linked those ads to male-dominated audience.
That's right.
And so if you look at some of the movement to have greater understanding on those issues, to have policies that protect those individuals, that seems to be vulnerable based on his apparent success. And then just looking at the national conversation, there will be
I never
more
vote
of
in my life
first
because
approach.
they already know who's going to be
the president. Almost an us and them tone.
This one seemed like a close one, you know?
Would talk about. And
it seemed like a close one until last night.
You know, any of those things.
Wokeism may have died tonight.
Before I went to bed, it was like
dormant for a bit.
DEI.
That's another big one.
From the police.
Yes,
right?
those sorts of things.
If you're going to encapsulate it,
what state was that?
I mean, I think that message that Donald Trump and his supporters, I'm sure, are sending across the board.
It's
something that's manifested itself in these podcasts. It's manifested itself on the internet. I mean, X or Twitter has become kind of a haven for all of this. And
it's not lost to me that one of the few successful losing candidates tonight was not a Democrat, but somebody who was progressive, but spoke like how people talk. And that's Dan Osborne. losing
over
independent Senate candidate.
with yet?
Was a
But
Bernie
I'm
Sanders
having
supporter.
a.
But he was basically, hey, I'm a
Is it over with yet? I think it's kind of
yes, he
over
would
with
curse, and yes, he would. I mean,
right about
no
now.
different than Trump. John
I
Fetterman.
mean, because she got
It
219,
was
he
a
has
campaign of cursing. I mean,
266,
this is not your grandmother's campaign
and they
anymore,
saying there's
okay?
no way
So, and my
for it
grandmother
to
actually
change
still might
right
be
now.
listening.
That's what they
You can
saying.
see as
The
well anymore, but she does
analyzers
listen
and
to
all
our coverage.
the news people.
And that is,
That's what they saying.
there are some Democrats that sort of saw this sooner. Fetterman being one.
Yeah,
and I think
it looks
Fetterman
like it.
could end up being an interesting sort of
Look like he
North
got
Star
it.
for the party. He's a guy who's figured out how to win. He was basically a working class Democrat that has stayed a Democrat. Well, essentially, all of his brethren, where he grew up, are clearly have moved towards Trump. So
I think it was a lot some issues that
big role in whatever the
a lot of
party's
people voted
going
against.
to next, because Fetterman seems to get it a little bit more than he's.
But
look where he was in his.
it was
review.
red.
So he's
Because
been,
everybody I heard, they said they.
Two things. First of all, if your grandmother is watching or listening, hello, Grandma.
I'm gonna vote for him.
Secondly,
Projected.
to Kate's point, how much of a conundrum?
So they really haven't verified it.
Democrats? I mean, here's a party that has always had to appeal to this big tent. You've got blacks, you've got gays, you had Hispanics.
OG Brand. What you doing up so early? Well, you probably get up every day like this. I don't get up this early.
How do you now do that?
I get up and then I
I'm going to use that to
say, Miss B, I need money and food and a new woman.
Ultimately, why was Barack Obama successful
OG
in building
Brand.
a coalition? Because he didn't have separate notes, right? He was trying to find.
What is this got to do with a new woman?
I thought Carlos Cabello earlier made an interesting point about. You asked him, did Donald Trump win this election? Yeah. And he said something that I thought was really smart. He said,
they keep moving that camera.
You got to remember, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris failed to unite the country.
Let's be because I got to bed at 8 o'clock. Oh my goodness!
That they thought
I don't go to bed that early.
The Biden administration did. As Abigail Spanberger, who was a congresswoman who was leaving, said, the country didn't like.
Go to bed at 8.
Was
so the woman you go with gonna have to go to bed at 8 o'clock.
President Biden, who said, "We're just like FDR," and it's like that is not what the country wanted. The country wanted to be turn the temperature down and bring us together.
And Harris tried that, though. She talked about having a Republican in her cabinet. She talked about common sense proposals moving forward.
Do y'all know any of these news people?
A lot of the progressive parties.
Yeah, I know the man right there. I seen him and that lady right there in the middle.
But did she do enough, right? Did she do enough to push back on her own positions? It's really tough to be branded at, I'm really having a lot of flashbacks to 2004. John Kerry's loss.
The OG Brand, even if it's true that they already know who's going to be president, I must vote because my ancestors died fighting for me. That's right. For the rights to vote. Me too. I'm voting for something. One thing or another. If I don't vote for everything, I'm voting for something up in there. Okay, Miss B, well, she gotta make her own decision because I'm not changing. I'm not changing for her. Okay, but you gonna want her change for you.
At least attempting to prove with this win here tonight is that you.
Alice, congratulations. Okay, I don't understand their point of view. Do you really think a rich man is gonna look out for the poor, middle class, working class?
And it doesn't matter if they're black, if they're white, if they're Latino, if they're gay. But if
he can. I mean, I don't know.
Doing as well
he
as
can.
you should be doing, regardless of what you look like, and I can fix that.
Now we just got to put our trust in the Lord.
How they look at themselves in the mirror
and pray.
That seemed to be a message that resonated. And
that he do what he said he's gonna do. Let's be Monday.
Yeah, let's turn to
she can eat a banana if I
can't. He's going to join us with the international reaction to the results of the U.S. presidential election. And Keir, it's daytime. What time is it where you are right now, Keir? You've been up for hours.
Yeah, what is this woman talking about?
2:15 in the afternoon.
It's 2:15. Wait a minute. He in.
What's the morning headlines? And
so how is everybody's reaction over the world? That's why I'm looking.
Well, this changes things globally, right? And there are those around the world who are anxious about that.
Okay.
And there are those that are excited about that. So we've been talking to Gulf diplomats, Saudi, Emiratis here, Qatar, who aren't authorized to speak on the record, have been saying things like, wow, stunning.
It looked like Trump has won.
To the televisions.
That's what we were looking at.
Listen to Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel, quick to congratulate
Donald Trump, saying this is a huge victory, and then signing off his message in true friendship. What a split screen.
We're saved for 4 years.
Of Turkey, who has been highly critical, to say the least, of Israel, saying, I congratulate my friend, President Trump. So both trying to say, this is my friend who's been elected. An entirely different tone, for example, as you would expect from the Iranians, an Iranian spokesman saying, US elections do not concern us and will not affect Iranians' livelihoods. Well, we'll see about that. A similar kind of dismissive tone from Hamas. And then we're hearing too from the Russians, a Russian foreign ministry spokesman saying simply, hallelujah.
Okay.
They said hallelujah. Russia said that.
Correspondent Keir Simmons Force there in the afternoon. Keir, thank you. Want to turn to Brian.
Well, CJ went there saved.
Brian,
I'm from Australia, and I've always admired Trump. He's smart, has a backbone, and not afraid to put those other presidents in line. Oh, okay. Miss B, the food prices went up, and my bills went up too. I need to move in. You know you don't. You need to stay right there where you at.
It seems like it goes even higher when you take a
Nope.
look at the Dow Jones. These are the point increases. I can tell you that the Dow Jones up
2016 through 2020
points would be about 2.8%, almost 3%. That's pretty notable. And when we look at some foreign markets as well, you're looking at green.
You need to stay right there where you at, OG Brown Ring.
The Japanese markets going higher, although that was before
And pinch your pennies.
battleground states were called. Look, I was messaging with a tech analyst that is still up at
Pinch
this
them
hour for some reason.
pennies.
He was telling me
What in
that
the world they
the
got?
results
What's
of
this?
Trump potentially winning this would be, quote,
They keep moving the camera for me.
a tech bolt. And the reason why is because if you have at the FTC, for example, Lena
Miss
Khan,
B, we will
who's been
be
very
happy
aggressive,
together.
against
Not.
consolidation, not just the tech space, but broadly among big corporate America, well, then that would be largely bullish for stocks. And I think that's one thinking that's happening.
We could be neighbors.
In Wall Street already.
Okay, but he wants to introduce a massive tariff regime that would be upending trade around the world. So, I mean, this could be catastrophic to the world economy if it's implemented.
Yeah, and look, economists that I have talked to have said that that would likely be inflationary. If you slap a 60% tariff
Well, thank
on all
you,
Chinese
Alice
goods, and not only
Thomas.
that, a 20% blanket tariff
Thank
on
you.
anything
Need
coming
the
in from
choice.
any other country, well, what would that do?
I
If you're
know.
an
We all
American company that has
Americans.
to pay
One
those
and the
tariffs to
same. Yeah,
import your
we are
goods,
Americans.
you likely pass that cost on to consumers.
We got to
Well, I
get
think big tech
along
is the big thing, right? I mean, big tech
and make
Facebook,
this
you're not
work.
importing
Now,
anything
whatever,
physically
whichever
coming
way
from other
it
countries.
goes.
So for
Thank you,
those
Lord,
companies,
for
they
our
like the idea of potentially not having an FTC that's going to be as
Miss
harsh
B,
on
I'm
consolidation.
in
Although
with you.
Trump is very
Then
hard
I'm
on the likes
going.
of Facebook and Meta,
You
right?
look.
Corporate tax
Don't even start that, OG Brand Brand.
And I think that's a big piece as well. I want to call attention just really quickly to two.
Y'all hit the like button while you in
After
here.
Trump mentioned Elon Musk in his
Thank
speech, we saw Tesla.
So they're saying
post-market
Elon
trading on
Musk,
that
what,
recently, the Robinhood platform up by about, I think right now, 15%. And then Trump's own stock, Trump Media Group, right,
Oh, that's like
DJT,
that polling
it's
EKG.
up 33%. That
So,
implies another
that was
$1 billion
Oregon.
in net worth for the president.
So are all the states in, or they haven't gotten all the states in yet? I don't think.
That's right.
Brian, thank you. Don't go far. Our special
But
coverage of this 2024 election is going to continue.
the electoral votes are already. Oh, see, they're not reporting what I've seen on the internet. Miss B, I love you, but you let me. From Mr. Chestnut. Oh yeah. Morris Chestnut. Yep.
We'll talk a little bit more about what that could mean and perhaps what it won't mean right after this.
So what does this mean for America and the world?
Kristen Welker hosts Meet the Press every Sunday on NBC.
From the inside Iran, from Israel, from Tampa, Hurricane Milton is here.
Where we're standing right now is covered in water. Part of our continued reporting.
Kamala said tax the billionaires. Y'all was like, no.
NBC News Daily is #1 for afternoon news across all.
Yeah, seemed like a lot of people was against that.
I'm Kate Snow. And I'm Sinclair Somewhat.
What's
If you live with the love of God in your heart, you will always be victorious.
What matters here at home?
New numbers are out today
Keep
showing
looking God first. That's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to pray and keep God first in any situation
What
we're
does
in.
it do for our health? What needs to change for social media to be a safer place?
NBC News Daily, weekdays from 12 to
See?
4 on NBC News Now.
News lives.
Yeah, that's why I had came out here to say that America has spoken.
What we know, you gotta see this. News for the generation of now is NBC News Now.
Let's see, simple-minded people that didn't understand that the tax didn't apply to you because you don't have $400,000 worth of nothing. Amen, Jordan J. That's right. Amen. Live with God in our heart. We have to have God. We got to.
NBC News than any other news organization.
I think it took a surprise though.
A new day has dawned. The Detroit Lions are now on the path to become the kings of the championship jungle.
But yeah, that commercial is gonna be off in a minute. But y'all doing what y'all doing up so early? Been doing the same thing, looking at this, or just up.
Listen to full episodes of Meet the Press wherever you get your podcasts.
Some people get up this early to go to work.
With us, whether you're at home or on our plaza, we're just glad you're with us this morning. Welcome back to our special 2024 election coverage.
Having 400,000 isn't rich. No, not today.
Found that a record low percentage of voters identified as Democrats in what could be an ominous sign for that party. The share of voters identifying with
so they're saying 266
the lowest mark this century. Chuck, that is a political realignment.
Well, it is, and it's we know where it's coming from. It's coming from Hispanics. I mean, that is the big loss. You had a larger group of people identifying as independent, which we ought to remind people is kind of a rational thing. If 70+% of the country thinks we're heading in the wrong direction, another 70% thinks democracy feels threatened. In fact, we've seen party identification with both parties actually dip down a little bit collectively. And more people identifying non-party. And this is where those young voters come in. Gen Z in particular, those younger voters are not registering DNR. They're registering in greater numbers. In some states it's no party, in some states they call it independent. But either way, you're not associated with the two major parties. And it is going to make this group that much more important in general elections. But here's what it could end up doing is does it end up sort of putting Democrats, if only the most progressive stay in the party and they run the primaries, you do risk nominating candidates who can't then appeal, because Democrats are going to have to win a bigger chunk of independents when you have a lower party identification.
My son would ask if then you're headed toward a three-party system.
Yeah, third parties in this country, they're successful when they reform the other two parties. Ross Perot successfully got both major parties to correct themselves.
Oh, okay. The Simpsons said that he was going to win.
Arguably, that's
so was that other man predicted that Kamala was going to win? It was some man on, I think he was on NBC.
There's just not enough people there because a lot of these independent voters, it's independent. It's not centrist. And that's another thing that I think both parties make a mistake about. They think the best way to win independence is some sort of moderation. What it really is some of these independents are literally further to the left, further to the right, but they're distrustful of the two institutions that are the D's and the R's, and that's what this is about. So I do think Democrats need to spend a lot more time learning why these folks choose to be independent and unaffiliated with either party. It's not just because they're centrists.
All right, Chuck, don't go far. We want to bring in two of our insiders here to get their take on all of this, perhaps chew on some of what Mr. Todd just said there. Stephen Hayes, editor and CEO of The Dispatch. Thanks for sticking around. And also Matt Gorman, former senior communications advisor for the Tim Scott presidential campaign. And one of the things that again, we'll be unpacking tomorrow for the next few weeks. We spent a lot of time over the last few days talking about the sheer number of early voters that we had in this country.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of early voters. People voted early this year, like a lot.
That there were so many people who voted early.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people wanted to get in early before the more complicated. If you look at the way that the race broke down, you had all of these very exciting and potentially big shifts coming in the way that the candidates were addressing their campaigns. I mean, I think Kamala Harris, when you look at the messaging that she had going into these last couple of weeks, there wasn't anything really identifiable, I think, for the people that were looking for her to reshape, redefine what she was and why she was running. They didn't see that. So I think you had people going to the polls early in an effort to sort of get in front of that.
She laid it all out there, though, didn't she? I mean, she had policy proposals, much more coherent policy. I mean, sort of explained policy proposals in a way that Donald Trump didn't necessarily do on stuff. But you think it just wasn't enough?
Yeah, okay. I went inside and voted
on this criminal justice referendum just over the past couple of days, where she said, I don't really want to answer that question. She sought to, I think, kind of camouflage her views on what was happening in Israel. She distanced herself to a certain extent from some of the Biden administration policies on the economy, but not enough.
There was an ad, and I saw it like most ads. I saw it over and over and over. And there was an ad that featured an interview that she had done on The Breakfast Club, a wildly popular radio show with Charlamagne Tha God and his sidekick, DJ Envy. And they used her own words.
They tried to pull a fast one
I knew exactly
and say that I had sent in the absentee ballot when I didn't. Oh, wow.
That may have been the most effective.
What were the words?
It painted her as someone who believed in, again, I don't want to misquote the ad, but they talked about how she would, if elected, have federal tax dollars go toward people having surgeries to change their sex.
It was, the tagline was Kamala's for they, them, President Trump is for us. In an era where very few ads break through anymore, that one broke through, and it aired on Sundays during football. I watch all the time. And you saw it was geared towards men, specifically African-American men. You're absolutely right. They did Breakfast Club, but then the last shot was President Trump with African-American leaders. And that broke through in a real way. And we talk about, again, our party's had a lot of trouble with women voters. How Democrats respond and appeal to men is very, very interesting.
What's interesting to note about that ad also is they spent 5 to 1 more money behind that ad the Trump campaign did than they did on ads on the economy, which was supposed to be the number one issue. Because they knew that it was breaking through for Democrats, and they were
But yet it's not really, maybe it is. Is it a huge policy proposal in real life?
It's cultural. It speaks to what are the priorities here? And you talked about Kamala reach out to disconnect
but the money never goes to America.
Take away the cabinet
so I'd rather not empower the corrupt.
She bumped her party on this, and she's willing to, give a little bit on whether it's crime or something like that. As you said, she wouldn't talk about what she voted on a referendum in the state of California, increased limits for shoplifting and things. Fairly common sense. There's none of that, and I think that is something that was a little bit telling.
Another that ad effective. They used her own word, bro.
The 2019-2020 Kamala Harris positions were tough to overcome.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Matt.
Our live special election coverage continues. Former President Trump bursting through that blue wall so far, taking Pennsylvania. We're still waiting on Wisconsin and Michigan. So what happened there? We're going to take a deep dive into how that call changed the state of the race.
Home Chef's family menu is making it easier than
funny part is when y'all see your paycheck on the Trump.
Simple recipe steps are just a delivery away. Home Chef's family menu. Solving
is it going to be better or worse?
Get 18 free meals at homechef.com.
Oh, taxes. Is that what you're saying?
And welcome back to our continuing coverage of the 2024 election. The NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard
indicator
the Trump campaign
for
actually years now. Joins us once again from West Palm Beach, Florida. Vaughn, good morning to you.
I don't like lying. I'm afraid of lying. Don't want to harm other people.
Vaughn, thanks for staying away.
He said worse.
How are folks
and then somebody said better.
Right now, I would imagine quite the sense of jubilation, if not euphoria.
Right. It looks like the eyes are going to have to be open likely for a few more years here based on how the data is coming in. And for the Trump campaign, this was an operation that was confident about the grassroots organization that they had built up.
And they still saying 266
the RNC and the Trump
and
campaign.
219.
I was told by a key battleground source that was working with them that they had only put about half the resources towards the ground operation and turnout than they did in the 2020 campaign. And yet they believed that there was a grassroots organization of volunteers, but also a surge of support among voters of color from Arizona, Nevada, up to Wisconsin and Michigan and Georgia. And the data right now, it is showing exactly what they believed would happen, that they would also be able to juice their turnout of MAGA faithful who didn't even vote for Donald Trump in 2020, but were new voters in 2024. And that's exactly what happened.
Wages will be better because of less regulation and lower costs with the production of goods and services. Extra revenue allows employees to make more.
They plan on having another Trump rally, quote, soon. So for the next 2 months, if Donald Trump does in fact win this presidential race here, there's going to be a transition effort operating out of West Palm Beach here, in which Donald Trump is going to be looking toward building a cabinet and an administration, one that he wants to ensure is loyal to him, full of individuals who he has vetted and knows on a personal level, unlike what he did back in January of 2017. And so these next 2 months will be an intense period of time, and to the extent that Donald Trump builds out this cabinet. Guys?
All right, 100 force there in the West Palm. It was a good night for the Trump campaign. You would
certainly was.
Would have thought they could have kept the lights on for Vaughn.
The lights on for what? My paycheck on Trump will be. I work overtime a lot. It will be a lot if you're working overtime. No tax on overtime. Really? No tax on overtime. No tax on tips and overtime. That's Trump policy. Oh, hello. Hello, Miss Glow Glow. God bless you. I said I was up, so I was looking to see what was going on, and America has spoken.
Good morning. It is 5:30
and lower
a.m.
taxes
if you're on
will
the East
help.
Coast. It is 2:30 a.m. if you're up late with us
Oh,
on
it
the
ain't
West
2:30
Coast.
here. I
Donald
hope.
Trump
No,
is
because
on
it
the
was
verge
4
of
something when
returning
I
to the White House at this hour. The former president speaking to supporters earlier this morning, claiming victory, surrounded by family, telling supporters that they made history. The NBC Decision Desk has not yet called the presidency for Donald Trump, but realistically, we can say that Kamala Harris, the vice to 270 in terms of electoral college votes at this point. Let's take a look at where things stand in those battleground states. We're going to start with Pennsylvania, which really was key to the statement I made a moment ago that Kamala Harris does not have a path anymore. It was when we called Pennsylvania that became true. 7% in the projected winner, Donald Trump. Georgia also in the column of Donald Trump with 50% of the vote versus her 48 with 99% of the vote in. North Carolina, the Tar Heel state, Mr. Trump wins there as well with 97% of the vote in. Now, to those we have not called yet, Michigan,
so you trying to tell me you're going to work overtime, make more money than you did last year, and then
now we have
when tax
a
time
projection
comes,
to make
they will cut you
in
a
Wisconsin.
Or you going to owe taxes on that money.
Yes, we can.
NBC News projecting that Wisconsin was won by Donald Trump, and therefore, as you see on your screen, we are now projecting that the next president of the United States is Donald Trump.
Well, it looked like on that map, it was red almost the whole thing, except for maybe 5.
Being elected for
Sorry.
non-consecutive terms, a feat that has not been achieved since Grover Cleveland did it back in 1892.
276 now.
And there's the map.
Okay, there
276 electoral votes. You can see how he did it there. The blue wall has been shattered once again. Wisconsin putting him over. Chuck Todd is standing by the big board. We're going to take a look at precisely how he was able to do it in Wisconsin. But Chuck, President-elect Donald J. Trump.
And more importantly, he's going to win the popular vote. It's not done yet. It's, there's still more, but it's very likely. This is not like
so you win the popular vote, the electoral vote.
To win the popular vote.
What other vote is it? That's
By the way,
ain't
we're
it?
now going to have 3 straight one-term presidents. The last time this country elected 3 straight one-term presidents was when a guy named Grover Cleveland won non-consecutive terms. It was in the aftermath of the Civil War, of post-Reconstruction, and frankly, I do think an era that rhymes with the era we're living in now. We were fighting about who's an American. it was a very divisive time. We had 6 straight presidential elections then decided by 5 points or less. We are now on our 6 out of the last 7 in this country decided by 5 points or less. But let's take a look here, because in many ways, how he won Wisconsin is how he won Pennsylvania, is how he won there. So let me just show you Harris in Milwaukee County. This is what she was counting. You can see here, she just didn't get the same amount of vote out here. Just and look, we're talking a state only decided by 30,000 votes, but she lost a little bit of ground there. When you look at Dane County, she lost just a little bit of ground there to him, and it was just a little bit everywhere. And then you go and take a look at a place like Brown County, and Trump gained a little bit in all of his red counties. And you go along the lake here, and he gained a little bit. In fact, what were the Harris folks counting on in the northern tier? That in these rural counties, older white women would come over to their side. But his improvement among Hispanics, among younger voters, particularly men, clearly created the combination here, because it is similar across the board. The college towns were not as democratic.
What you gonna tell them?
Turnout wasn't as much, and even in the suburbs, the turnout for Democrats was good, not great, and they needed great, especially if they were going to continue to lose the amount of Hispanic voters that they ended up losing tonight.
What you gonna tell OG
President of the United States, now the 47th President-elect of the United States. Kelly O'Donnell's with us. Ryan Noble's with us as well. We need to underscore this right now, right? Yes. Because this is the moment that NBC News has, our decision desk has projected that he is, in fact, the winner. We've been talking about it for hours.
99% confidence rating. We don't call it until we get there.
Exactly, we project.
It's an extraordinary political achievement.
Especially, Kelly, when you consider
I'm going to tell her you cheating on me with the news and Donald Trump.
And remember when that was
a cheating on you with the news and Donald Trump.
Assassination attempts. Oh, by the way, he's a convicted
I can't help it. Yes, that worked the last time, right?
Ashes, yet again.
The moment in Butler, Pennsylvania, where he was bloodied and rose and raised his fist and said, fight, 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 might be the metaphor of this entire political experience for him. He has come back in a way that, remember, he had a busy primary because his own party didn't think they were going to stick with him. The damage done by January 6th has fallen by the wayside. He found a message. When he was running for re-election against Joe Biden, it was keep America great. He went back to make America great again, reclaimed a bit of that. He infused the party with his family. His daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, became a co-chair of the party and very involved. His sons, very prominent in his race and in sort of the identity of the political brand. It's an extraordinary thing that he's going back to the White House. And we will be trying to understand it and trying to understand how much he will match up to the candidate that he's been and the things he's talked about. Who will he get rid of? Who will he try to extract some political penalty against? And tonight he had some tones of wanting to be a president for all. Will he live up to that?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty strange.
And that's why I say we got to pray.
Never mentioned Kamala Harris's name. Never mentioned Joe Biden's name. Didn't even talk about
that's the bottom line.
It was really just
whoever is in there, we got to pray. We got to pray.
A number of reiterated many of the promises that he made on the campaign trail. That might be a signal that he's going to try and reach out to the other side of the aisle, because under any circumstance, and this is a convincing win, it's fair to say, but it's, as Chuck pointed out, still very close. And half the country is waking up this morning to what they view as the worst possible news, that Donald Trump is going to be in the White House again. And so he has tended, his political career has been,
it's a little bit too late. The voting is over.
Caring that much about people that don't love him.
It's over with.
And he has an opportunity now. This is his last opportunity in the White House. He's only going to be there for 4 years. He's already going to start thinking about his legacy. And part of that might be trying to reach across the aisle, trying to find that common ground and create an agenda for all Americans.
Chuck, your numbers, by the way, we just put Chuck's numbers on the screen there. Those popular vote numbers. There's about a 5 million vote margin.
Yeah, and it'll close probably in half because of California. So the popular vote margin might be 2 to 3 million. But we got to realize something else here. I mean, he's now the most transformational leader of the Republican Party since Reagan. And he has done something that, again, he created a new Republican coalition. The last Republican to do that was not George W. Bush. It was Ronald Reagan.
Let me get to Vaughn Hilliard again in Mar-a-Lago in Florida at Trump. Well,
I bet your neighbor worked harder than
a little
you.
bit earlier this evening. Vaughn, you've been. Are you outside now? You're outside now. Vaughn, you've been on this campaign for months.
I'm outside.
You've covered Trump for years. First administration as well. Talk about what this projection means for the president-elect.
I think that what we are about to see is a very unique personality served in the capacity of President of the United States, even more so than in his first administration. Chuck and Kelly covered that administration so closely. I covered it on the periphery, traveling around the country, talking to voters throughout his administration. And time and again, I heard supporters that were hoping, even during the trade wars, right? It was the farmers that saw the prices of their corn and soybeans drop. They weren't even able to break even, yet they hoped that Donald Trump was going to be able to strike trade deals that would benefit them in the long run. There was a lot of hope and aspirations of voters in the United States that they have in Donald Trump. New voters, voters of color, young voters who have grown up with Donald Trump is effectively the godfather of this Republican Party. And when I say he's a unique personality, it's because of the individuals who we should expect to see him surround himself with in this administration. Here at his rally in West Palm Beach tonight, there wasn't Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis or Tim Scott, or of course Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, or Doug Ducey, the former governor of Arizona, or Mike Pence, his former vice president. It was the likes of Tucker Carlson and Speaker Mike Johnson and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Elon Musk. Donald Trump ran in a way in which he felt uncompelled to go and reach out to the old establishment wing of the Conservative Party. And in 2022, I think that this is the moment when we go back in history of what led to this moment. It was Donald Trump, when politically it was viewed as his stock being lowest. He went around and got involved in Republican primaries, specifically House races. There were 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach him in the aftermath of the January 6th attack. He effectively was able to purge 8 of those 10 individuals, including Liz Cheney. She lost her race in Wyoming by 50 percentage points. Donald Trump was able to remake the Republican Party in his image, which going into the presidential primaries, Ron DeSantis, Mike Pence, Nikki Haley, they jumped into that race. But when I was going around talking to voters time and again, even in South Carolina, there were folks that were telling me, Nikki Haley and Tim Scott, they shouldn't get in the race. This is Donald Trump's moment to take back the party and to take back the country that they felt was stolen from him. Donald Trump went on a crusade to convince Americans that he was a sympathetic figure, that the election of 2020 was stolen from him, and that the charges against him and the 4 criminal indictments, they were politically targeted. Over the course of these last 3 years, we now know here tonight, with Donald Trump becoming president of the United States, along with issues like immigration and the economy, of course, but he was effectively able to convince the majority of the American electorate that voted this month that he should be going back to the White House despite everything, all of the attacks, the charges against him, and that this was his moment. And now, upon going to the White House, he has a Republican Party in the U.S. Senate, the U.S. House that will be devoutly loyal to him. And for any members of the military, any Democrats even, that look to go and seek to have some sort of ability to work with him in Washington, D.C., it's going to be incumbent upon them to understand that Donald Trump is of the belief that he only needs loyalty, that he does not need to go and strike any negotiations, because so far politically over the course of 9 years, it led him back into the White House and a mandate effectively from the voters who selected him to get back there tonight.
Vaughn, I know you've spent some time really thinking about this, reporting how we got to tonight and this historic day. Let's take a look at your report.
So how many Democrats voted
victory for the American people?
A political resurrection unlike any other in American history.
I want to thank you. I will not let you down. America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than it has ever been before.
Tonight, Donald Trump winning back the White House, an unlikely comeback after losing the 2020 election, and a violent attack on the Capitol by his supporters, attempting to overturn the election results. Those supporters encouraged by President Trump's false claims of 2020 election fraud.
All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing.
Top Republicans initially condemning him for his role provoking the attackers.
All I can say is count me out. Enough is enough.
The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters.
But soon reversing course and embracing Trump once again, recognizing his power with Republican voters. In the 2022 midterm, allies elected and his enemies ousted.
The people of Wyoming are going to tell her, Liz, you're fired, get out of here.
Many candidates who echoed Trump's false claims that the 2020 election was stolen lost to Democrats. But just 1 week later, Trump announced his bid for re-election.
This will not be my campaign. This will be our campaign altogether.
In the months that followed, he was indicted on federal charges in Florida and D.C., and state charges in New York and Georgia. The Republican presidential hopefuls, like Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, saw an opening.
We can't have, as Republicans, him as the nominee.
But Trump trounced the primary field in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and then South Carolina, handily winning the party's nomination.
And we want to have unity, and we're going to have unity, and it's going to happen very quickly. What happened?
In the campaign's final tumultuous months, Trump survived an assassination attempt.
The assassin's bullet came within a quarter of an inch of taking my life.
And a change in his opponent, which he falsely called a coup.
This was an overthrow of a precedent.
He ran his campaign on his terms and often on falsehoods. He hit the trail with his own unique coalition of allies. And tens of thousands of faithful supporters packing arenas and venues from California to Wisconsin to Madison Square Garden.
Police arrived. Up here, we are couldn't up with it.
White House wins, a feat only
according to what
Grover Cleveland has accomplished before. Now, Donald Trump will be president number 45 and 47.
8 years ago, Donald Trump
Hello, Eric B.
cabinet and administration officials at his Trump Tower penthouse in Midtown Manhattan. He's now a Florida resident, and we can expect the transition process and that interview process to take place here in Florida at his Mar-a-Lago estate. I am also told, just like 8 years ago,
good morning, Eric B. Good to see you.
His campaign called a thank you tour as president-elect, in which he went around the country to address American voters that helped elect him. I'm told to expect a rally of similar sorts to take place, quote, soon here in the days and the weeks ahead. Guys.
All right, Vaughn Hilliard, thank you so much for that reporting. I'm Kate Snow. Craig Melvin has actually left the table, just so no one's confused here. He has to go prepare for the Today Show. But I want to turn to Danny Ceballos, who's joined us at the table, our legal analyst. This is something we haven't really talked about yet tonight, but now that we have President-elect Trump, what happens to all these legal battles that he's been fighting, particularly the ones that were supposed to be coming, sentencing was supposed to be coming up soon?
On a night where we're all very careful not to make predictions, not to make a bunch with a lot of
all this stuff will go away.
Trump's legal cases. Here are things that I think we can say with a lot of confidence. He has 4 outstanding criminal cases. 2 are federal, 2 are state cases. The federal cases are going to go away. They're going to go away in a number of different ways. He can appoint an attorney general who will simply do his bidding and dismiss the cases. He can instruct the Justice Department to not even bother with the appeal of the already dismissed federal case. Those cases are, for all intents and purposes, gone. That leaves the state court cases. We have New York. We have a sentencing, not only a sentencing coming up in a couple of weeks, but Justice Merchan is also deciding a motion to dismiss. This is all happening in the next couple of weeks.
Remind people which case that is.
This is the case that he was the only case that he was tried and convicted on here in the state of New York several months ago, and he's awaiting sentencing on that case.
This is around Stormy Daniels.
Exactly. It had to do with hush money payments and reimbursements to Michael Cohen related to an alleged affair with Stormy Daniels. So That case, in all likelihood, that sentencing might get adjourned now. But even if it weren't, even if it were to go forward on November 26th, in all likelihood, it's not a case that he's going to get prison time on. Now, reasonable minds can disagree. I'm approaching this as a criminal defense attorney. This is barely a felony in New York. Yes, it's 34 counts, but you have all the factors that lead towards somebody getting a non-incarceration sentence. You have somebody over 7 years old, like a house arrest, maybe straight probation. You have someone over 75 years old, no guns, no drugs, no violence. These are things that New York courts see and sentence on every day. So in the spectrum of criminals who might be able to get a probation-only or house arrest sentence, Donald Trump is in a high likelihood. That's even if the case goes forward this month for sentencing. It might not. The real question is, will prosecutors agree to an adjournment given that Donald Trump just won the election? That's kind of an X factor. Then you have Georgia, and Georgia is, I'm going to use a legal term, a disaster. That legal case is in a vortex. By the way, it hasn't been stayed. It's technically moving along, and we've heard nothing about it in the last several months. It is in
CJ said he's made $2,300. Wow.
I'm going to say again, I'm going to go out on a limb. The prosecutor in the Georgia case, the elected prosecutor, made some bad decisions along the way. And so because of those decisions, the case is now mired in appeal, and she may get disqualified. If it does, if that case is orphaned, then they have to find a new prosecutor to take it on. But let's say, for example, the case will still be pending when Donald Trump is inaugurated. Let's assume that it is. It will likely, all the state cases, to the extent they're still pending, will be stayed. And that's because of the Constitution's supremacy clause. In all likelihood, those cases will be put on. And 4 years from now, who knows what the political situation will be in Fulton County, Georgia. If that DA will still be even the DA, or if that case will have been tossed because the DA has been disqualified. So the state court cases,
paid $2,100 for rent on one bedroom in Maryland.
It's why he's a felon.
I'm broke until next pay unless I take a loan.
Serious prison time. Again,
wow, first month's rent with deposit.
On this point,
oh my, $3,000.
Georgia, I just don't think they can get that case together. By the way, let's say miraculously they brought it to trial. The last high-profile RICO case
I'm a
in
Native
Georgia
American.
was the longest
Alaska.
case in Georgia history. It took them 8 months to select a jury.
I feel that
Fulton
it's
County
necessary to
is
try
just not good at
regaining
speedy
these lands
trials
back in
in
my
complex
people's
cases.
care.
I'm sorry to say. And so Donald Trump's case may never see the light of day in Georgia.
So it sounds
The
like
dollar
headline,
sign in
bottom
front
line
of the
here
money.
is he's unlikely to see
$2,300.
any legal consequences or any major
CJ said the American.
cases go forward during his presidency.
One thing we haven't talked about is all the civil cases against him. And he's faced many millions of consequences as a result of those civil cases, including E. Jean Carroll. All of those are things that in all likelihood, he's not going to get the benefit of, say, an immunity decision. I mean, theoretically, he could.
I want to know how many Democrats
for
voted
those civil cases. They will move forward
differently than okay. Go ahead.
Sure, well, yes, there are immunity issues, but those will survive.
God bless America.
In theory, they'll be back on the hook if he has a judgment against him after he gets out of office. So civil consequences are not the same as criminal consequences.
My point is,
and he has suffered criminal consequences. He's a felon.
It's bigger than the border.
He's
That's what
going
he's
to be,
saying.
when
I
the smoke
guess
clears,
this
if
is a
Justice
plan.
Rochon does not dismiss the case, which he might do next week, but if that case survives, if that conviction survives, he is a felon. He may not serve a prison term, but if it survives, I mean, that's certainly something that is not a desirable status for an American citizen. But in all likelihood, I think we might see the sentencing adjourned. And even New York could get thrown out by Justice Rochon based on immunity, based on a pending
not
motion to
having
dismiss.
kids.
All right, that was a lot of legal talk.
Having
kids. Really appreciate it. I think a lot of people, have been wondering out there. Let's go back to a couple of our insiders. Who do we have with us? Matt Gorman and Stephen Hayes are standing by for us. Hello, gentlemen. You're over on the other side of the studio now. I can't see you. Apologies. Can I get just from each of you your final thought as we head into the morning? It's almost 6 a.m. Eastern
almost
time
6
now.
a.m. I got to get ready for my other.
What did you see
live,
this day and these coming weeks looking like?
CJ, it is a cheap labor.
First of all, it's a tremendous political resurrection. I think you put it exactly right. A realignment of sorts in many different ways when it comes to segments of the population.
You are
and what
an
I'm
American.
interested to see now is
Replace them with
Trump
hard
only has one
workers
term,
who still
and so now
making babies.
how does he govern? What is his legacy without a re-election to worry about? And then what do other Republicans and Democrats do in reaction? Because 2028 is not so far away now.
And Stephen, to you, the same question. What do you see in these coming weeks?
Yeah, I was really struck looking at Vaughn's package, thinking about back to January 6th, and he was really left for dead. And Lindsey Graham, all of his biggest supporters, nobody wanted anything to do with him. And not only did he survive that, but he has made this sort of dramatic comeback to the point where you had a party rallying around him. And if you look at the exit poll data today, you look at the number of people who said that they thought that democracy was at stake in this election. More of them nationwide voted for Donald Trump than voted for Kamala Harris, despite the fact
thank
that
y'all
she made
for
this sort of
coming in.
of the end of her campaign.
I'm getting ready to get off here to get ready
January 20th,
for my next live, and
become the president
y'all
of
have
these
a
United
blessed
States.
day.
You cover
CJ, I
Congress.
know,
We know the Senate has,
but they
now
don't
has
need
Republican control.
connecting.
We
I
don't
guess
know
is
about
what
the
they're
House
saying.
just yet, if
All
we
right,
have
y'all have a blessed
divided
day.
government or not.
That's right, and I think that's the biggest open question right now is what forced to work with. If he has a Democratic House, that's going to make it a lot more difficult for him to get his agenda over the
Technically, this
finish
is
line.
Trump's
But
third
if he
time.
has a willing
Biden called
Republican
the
House
election.
to work with,
Let's turn to
there's no
God.
limit
That's
to what
right.
he could possibly
Shepherd's
accomplish.
Chapel.
And
Oh,
it's
I
also
love
important to
that.
keep in mind that
I love
there are a lot
what's
of
his
these
name?
members,
I
particularly
used to
the House of
look at him
Representatives,
every morning.
Congressman Matt Gaetz, for instance,
YouTube
in Florida,
explains the whole Bible.
a
Yes.
with the former speaker.
Yes, Shepherd's
almost thought to be
Chapel.
an outsider.
Yes.
He's not
I
gonna be
looked at
very
him
much
every
on the
morning.
inside, a direct line to the president. So
Indeed. All right, y'all have a blessed day.
Green is another one. So there are going to be a lot of members of Congress